get intimidated by the words, but a hackathon is, in my words, a really fun experience where you, please excuse me, you get to go beyond your present technical knowledge, get to learn more, and create amazing solutions to help people around you, maybe for social good, as is the case with the hackathon that's coming up. You're going to be creating uh, for specific themes. Thematic hackathons specifically want you to be creating some projects that help the society. So you are creating, also see hackathons as an amazing opportunity to create side projects. We've always been told that side projects are a great way to showcase our technical skills, and hackathons are are really are a good place to create side projects. So if nothing else, it really helps you put a project on your resume to showcase your skills. So let the to-dos begin. Let's just talk about what hackathon to-dos are, what to do during hackathons. So number one is build a well-rounded team. Now, in initially, what we do when we create a team for hackathons is, as I have done in my third semester myself, has been that just went to a hackathon with two of my friends, and because we were friends, we'd been learning the same things for the last 3 semesters. That works out well if your friend group has a diverse skill set, but if all three of you are front end developers or designers or just back end developers or DevOps people, it makes things a little difficult because uh, to complete an entire project, you need to participate with a team which has a wider skill set. While a lot of hackathons allow you to participate individually, it is encouraged that you participate with a larger team so that you can divide work and get all things done. So with the kind of team that you should have, there are a lot of hackathons that you might not know how to form your team for. You have the Connect channel on the Discord channels if we're talking about online hackathons, which is what we are going to be discussing mainly right now, because my experience mostly falls with online hackathons, and that's what's happening these days. So in online hackathons, you have a team formation channel by different names, find your team or something like that. So if you're an individual member looking for a team, all hackathons encourage you to meet new people, network, and build your team. While building your team, there is a team structure that I would recommend you people have so that it helps you get all parts of project development or hackathon project development and pitching covered. The four kind of people that you should have are the developer. Now, the developer could be two people as well. One person that works on the front end development and one on the back end development, but at least have one person that is really good at either front end or back end development. Have one person that is the designer. Now, this person could also be your front end developer. Somebody that does your UI design could, very likely do your front end development as well. So these are people that will be working on the bare bones, I guess, of the front end development. That is your what you see in front and back end development. As I've been told, a lot of you are beginners in tech, freshers in college. So I'll just break down designing front end and back end for you all. Designing is when I don't know if you guys have heard of Figma and Adobe XD, but these are, again, I'm just going to be suggesting tools that you could use, tools that are used for designing when designing a project. What design means is before you actually start making a website, a lot of you must have made some small websites while working on your school projects in grade 7 and 8 using HTML and CSS. So when you build an actual real life product or project, you really need to know how it looks before you start writing the HTML, CSS, or other front end for it. That is the designing or UI design part. UI and UX design is how it is termed usually. UI falls for UI stands for, sorry, not falls for, stands for user interface, and UX stands for user experience. So your designer will basically be the person who tells you how your product should look. Now, the design could be on Figma or Adobe XD with perfect prototyping, or it could be in terms of boxes drawn on pen and paper on a rough sheet saying कि मेरे को ये डब्बा चाहिए, इसमें ऐसा लॉगिन का डब्बा होना चाहिए, इसमें दो डब्बे होने चाहिए जहाँ पे ईमेल, पासवर्ड और यहाँ पे एक बटन चाहिए. The design can be of any sort, but that is what your designer does. Now, when this design is given to the front end developer, often in your team you'll have people that do both. Like myself, I try to do both. I'm not very good at design, but I have a little more experience with front end development. But I try to do both these things. So when your designer gives this to your front end developer, what your front end developer does is converts these drawings of dabbas to code. So front end developer is going to be developing everything that you see on your website. You see a button or you see other such things. So your front end developer is going to be doing that. And moving forward, you have your backend developer. Your backend developer is going to be developing the APIs and database. That is, when you have a front end, it's just, your HTML, CSS, and maybe JavaScript if you've done some. But if it's just what you see on your screen. But what you see on your screen does oftentimes include a lot of data coming from somewhere. So you need somebody who can help you store that data, manage your database, and create an interface between your database and other services and your front end. That is what your backend developer does. Now, front end can be done in various languages such as React, in various languages. My apologies, is mostly done in JavaScript using HTML and CSS as its bare bones. But you can use frameworks like Angular or libraries like React and Vue to do your front end development. For back end development, you can use languages like JavaScript and Python or even Java for that matter, and there are various frameworks in each. Now, moving on to the other two people that constitute a well rounded team, in my opinion, there is the emerging tech person and the big picture person. Now, the emerging tech person is somebody who is well aware of technologies such as cloud computing and some form of DevOps, or ML and AI. So this person is going to be somebody who keeps up with the latest trends in technology and knows the latest tech, who knows what kind of tech the world's working on right now. So this person could be someone who's well versed with cloud computing and MLAI and other such things. This person's going to bring the latest tech trends to you, which would be sponsors in a lot of hackathons. So this person is essentially going to help you contest for sponsor prizes, be it the GCP prize or Azure prize or Matic prize. There are a lot of sponsor prizes in a lot of hackathons. The last, but definitely not the least, is going to be our big picture person, which is very ambiguous when I say it. So this person is going to be somebody who is going to be looking at the business side or the bigger picture of your product. Like, what is the kind of impact that your product is supposed to have? What is a business plan that you could potentially use for your product, which is an essential part. Both these things, the impact and the business plan, are sometimes an essential part of your pitch, the final pitch that you make, or the final presentation that you make to pitch your project. Because uh, most of the times, your pitch is almost as important, if not more important, than your actual project. Because if you do not present it very well, then the judges aren't going to know what you've created. So, presentation matters, and this big picture person brings that perspective to your project where they they tell you what kind of an they have actually not just tell you, and the big picture person could be more than one person. With all of these four roles that are defined here, one person can have more than one role, and more than one person can fit into one of these roles. So more than one person can bring the perspective of the kind of social impact your project is going to have and the kind of business plan that you can propose for your project. So that is what makes a well-rounded team, in my opinion. Step one, you've made a team, you're ready to go into your hackathon. Now, what should you do? So, step one done. Let's move forward. Step two, maintain. Oh, okay. So, this isn't a stepwise thing, this is a point-wise thing. So, step one is obviously making a proper team and building a well rounded team, while this second point is about the entire process of your hackathon. So, I'm not just talking about this being a second step, but this is something that you have to keep in mind during your entire hackathon process, that is, maintain proper communication and in team leadership. Now, what happens when you go into any kind of a hackathon is usually, from my experience, what I've seen is there is a unanimous decision that there's one person who's going to be leading the entire team, who for the period of the hackathon you are answerable to. It is not like that person's your superior, but this person is going to keep everybody in check and make sure that you complete your project according to the timeline you've decided, or is going to make sure that things are working well. So there is going to be one mutually decided team leader, who which is a good thing to have always. One person who's making sure everything's working well. And maintaining proper communication is that your communication shouldn't just be between you and your leader, but also amongst yourselves. You should have seamless communication. So while participating in online hackathons, at least in my opinion, what I've seen working best for me is that you stay on a continuous call, a continuous video call with your teammates, and have a WhatsApp chat as well. So whenever something works, let your team know. Whenever something's taking very long to work, let your team know. If you think that you thought of a feature in the beginning of the hackathon and it feels very difficult to build and won't make that much of a difference, communicate. Be open about what you think about the process, what's happening. Be open to criticize within the team so that your work is at its best as you go. So that's what communication means. You should ideally have a team where you're freely able to communicate both the downsides and the upsides of the process. That is, yay, I finally completed the design process. Damn, this API is taking too long to implement. Do we really need it? Or if there are two people who can do the same work but they've divided work and you're facing some issues within the team, always be sure to share the issues that you're facing. While someone might not be an expert at your domain, they might have come across a resource before uh, that can help you overcome the hurdle quicker. So just keep talking, be it via WhatsApp chat or a Discord group or a Teams call or a Google Meet. Just keep talking with your team for the entire duration of the hackathon. Let's move forward. Point number three. So plan the product. So this is essentially your step two. Step one, form a good team. Step two, plan the product that you intend to build. Now, this can further be divided into some stages where if you're planning to build a product, you will first have to look at the themes. Like you're going to be participating in a thematic hackathon, so you'll look at the various themes there are, and while you're looking at them, there will be an idea. You will have an inkling or an instinct of which theme you want to go with. So first thing you have to do is you have to decide what theme you want to work on, and then you have to come up with a concept that complements that theme. And once you have the concept in mind, that say I want to say your I'm just going to take a very rudimentary example here, but say your theme is education and you plan to create a virtual classroom. Well, that's a basic concept that you have, but don't start developing with just the basic concept in mind. As soon as you decide that you want a virtual classroom, make sure that you just give me a second. Okay. So sorry for the disturbance. There was just something at my end that needed to be seen to immediately. So, as I was saying, the basic concept is not enough for you to start development. Before you start development, you should have a clear idea of the functionality and features that you want to implement, a sort of a mind map of your product, a data flow diagram, if you will, at least a user journey in mind, that these are the kind of features I want to offer to my to the end user, and this is the kind of these are my also when you're planning features, it doesn't have to be a full blown plan where you plan it to the smallest detail, but have a rough idea. And also, when creating a rough idea, you're sitting with your entire team, keep in mind that you need to plan features in two different categories: must do, can do. Must do are categories of features of your product that you plan to implement during the hackathon. That is, these features are are essential to your product. These are a part of your product that have to be made. And can do are features that you can do later if you have time during the hackathon, or can develop on after the hackathon is over. Have that discussion, have a rough idea of the features that you want to build, the technology that you want to use. Like for front end, maybe you'd want to use React or Vue; for back end, Flask; or for back end as a service, if you will, you might want to use Firebase or Azure for certain functionality. So make sure that you have in mind what tech you want to use once you've decided what features you want. Only after that would I suggest that you start building. This helps you streamline your development process. Next, let's move forward. Okay, now this is step three. Step one was build a good team. Step two was plan your product well. Step three, develop an MVP of your planned product. Now I'm just going to read out the definition of the MVP and then explain what an MVP is. MVP stands for minimum viable product. An MVP will feature the bare essentials required for a complete solution and implement a feedback mechanism for future development. So MVP is the bare bones of your product. That is, as I said, a set of must do features you must have. So these must do features all constitute your MVP, a minimum viable product. For your concept to be conveyed properly to your users or your judges, you need a set of features to have been implemented. And all these features that are central to your core concept constitute your minimum viable product. It is always suggested to create the bare bones of the minimum viable product before you start improving on how your excuse me, how your product looks, or how you start improving on the performance of things. While you should keep in mind the performance of things, if there are certain core features that you are supposed to develop, I suggest that you develop them first. So complete your minimum viable product and then work on improving it. Always keep this in mind. So, from personal experience in my first hackathon, me and my teammates had gotten stuck on a certain map functionality in our product. And we spent an entire day trying to find the best solution for showing a map. Now, finding the best solution is a good practice for a product, but for a hackathon, you have to keep in mind that it doesn't have to be the best solution. You just need the feature to be developed. So I would have done well in that time, in retrospect, in using any freely available open source map service instead of trying to find out what would be best for my use case. So whenever you're implementing your MVP, make sure all your features are implemented before you go looking for what the best service or best performance practices would be, or the best styling practices would be. So just so before you try optimizing your product, work on your minimum viable product. Uh, oof. Also, something that comes before the viable product is a proof of concept, a POC. So what that essentially is the prototype of your product that you build during your Development process, that is something that I mentioned before and I said that I will be elaborating on further, is a POC, a proof of concept. So we've formed a well-rounded team, we've decided what we want to build, and we've built a minimum viable product. Let's see what other to-dos we have for hackathons. Experiment with vendor-sponsored and external software and APIs. As I mentioned before, a lot of hackathons have sponsor prizes. That is, you will have sponsors like Matic or DigitalOcean or Domain.com are a few that I recall that provide prices for solutions that use their services or APIs that they provide. So make sure to make the most of the credits that you get as a hackathon participant. You get free access to a lot of otherwise paid services. So make sure that you look at that tech as well when you're looking for the technology that you will use to implement your solution. This helps you expand your horizons when it comes to tech, helps you experiment with new tech, and also gives you a chance, makes you stand a chance to win sponsor prizes. So make sure you experiment with vendor sponsored and external software and APIs. This also decreases a lot of some APIs or some softwares will decrease a lot of your grunt work. That is, you won't have to build things from scratch if you're using some sponsor APIs and you're getting paid services for free. Make sure to make the most of it because who doesn't like free stuff? I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't. Moving forward, we have interact with hackathon mentors. This is one of the most important hackathon to dos, in my opinion. So once you have a basic concept and rough idea of your hackathon project in mind, I believe you should talk to your mentors about it. Pitch it to your hackathon mentors, and mentors are either really experienced students or industry experts and know what they're doing. Some mentors are also from a sponsor side. So if you're using some sponsor tech or sponsor APIs, you have mentors that help you out if you're facing any issues. So get your idea or concept validated by a mentor and talk to a mentor if you're facing any issues at all. Mentors are both technically experienced and experienced at creating products. So there might be a tech issue that you're facing, and Stack Overflow might not have the best answer for you, or you might not know how to look for the answers. So whenever you hit a roadblock, it is suggested that you contact a mentor and let them help you troubleshoot. It significantly increases your troubleshooting time and helps you overcome roadblocks really quickly. And when going to mentors for idea validation, it saves you a lot of trouble. So once you have a concept and a rough idea in mind for your project, if you seek validation from your mentor and say they have an insight for a certain feature or an idea for an extra feature that you could add to your project, it really helps get an industry or experienced point of view. Or maybe you might have thought of a project, and it sometimes happens that we think that this idea that we have is revolutionary, and the mentor might end up telling you, nah, a lot of people are doing this. Are you sure you want to do this? It saves you a lot of time of having developed an idea that probably wasn't something that was going to help. So talk to the mentors as much as you can. Interact with mentors during hackathons. In online hackathons, you have mentorship channels. In offline hackathons, you have um, mentors milling about and interacting with students. So always talk to mentors, get validation for your idea, and ask them for any support you need while developing. They'll be sure to help you. All of them, from my experience, are really friendly and forthcoming when it comes to helping hackers. So, as a beginner, do not hesitate when talking to mentors at hackathons. Let's move forward. Network with your fellow hackers. So, in a lot of tech communities, there's a saying that goes, and it's very common, is that your network is your net worth. So, use hackathons as a place to network because network building your network is a crucial part of moving forward in tech communities, or generally just a crucial part of your journey. Your network becomes a really crucial part of your journey, uh, outside and beyond your college, or even inside your college. Hackathons always see a lot of hardworking, creative, and passionate people coming in who are competing and trying to make solutions for a prize, right? And all of these people have some experience. A lot of hackathons have both students and professionals, and you should try to participate in activities meant for networking. Again, this is something that I would say personally has been a mistake that I made at my first hackathon. I spent all my 36 hours developing and sitting with my team or sleeping. So when in an offline hackathon also there are certain activities or games that they play, make sure to participate in them that day. And also just before hackathons start, there are activities. You're supposed to arrive for hackathons maybe 6 hours earlier for offline hackathons, and on online hackathons you join Discord channels and stuff. Excuse me. These really help you get to know new people, expand your network, and are one of the major takeaways from hackathons aside from your technical side project or hackathon win. An expanded network is a major takeaway from hackathons, and you might as well end up making some great friends at hackathons. I definitely have. Your team might end up being your friends if you go in individually and try to form a team. It is essentially you networking with people. So just connect with people that come in. You'll get to learn from their experiences, and who knows, in the future you might as well get some opportunities through these connections that you make. Make sure to expand your network. Let's move forward. Manage your health well. Well, this is for all hackathons. Uh, we have energy running high for most hackathons. If you're in offline hackathons, you see a lot of energy drinks coming in and music being played, and you you sometimes feel that you should stay up for all 36 hours and come what may later. But what happens then is, if you don't take a sleep break in after some time, your efficiency of work decreases. So as soon as you see yourself starting to tiring out, take a nap. Take a nap of maybe 2 to 3 hours and come back with 100% productivity. If you're staying awake for all 36 hours and your productivity after, say, 12 hours goes down to 70%, after the next 6 hours it goes down to 50%, you're really losing out on not just time but also quality of work. So, managing your health includes eating and sleeping primarily. So you need to have rested well before the hackathon, and also, which is a major suggestion, that take proper sleep before you go into a hackathon. And during the hackathon, take sleep breaks, take meal breaks. It's always okay to take a break during a hackathon and come back when you're at your 100%. Actually suggested that you work only when you're at peak productivity, or at, actually peak productivity is a myth. So when you're feeling productive, if you're feeling drowsy or sleepy, you won't be able to deliver your best work. So it's best that you take breaks. This happened with one of my teammates at our very first hackathon, where she stayed up for 24 hours straight, and uh, when the last 12 crucial hours were left, she went down to take a nap for, say, 2 to 3 hours ideally, ended up sleeping for 8 hours straight. We couldn't connect our back end and front end properly because of that. So manage your health well, eat well, and stay healthy. The hackathon, you'll perform as well as you feel. So this is an important part of hackathons. Let's move forward. Participate in mini events. So, as I said earlier, there are a lot of fun networking games and activities that happen during hackathons. Now, hackathons are all about building and developing, but if you're engrossed in the development process for a long period of time, it does happen that you feel tired. Excuse me. And when you're tired, uh, these work as refreshers. They prevent you from burning out. They help you detox, let off a little steam, engage, network, talk to the organizers, meet new people, and just have a little fun in general, because there's no harm in having a little fun. And you do better when you're enjoying what you're doing. So, if there are many events or fun games being organized, be sure to participate. They're there on Discord channels or other platforms whenever there's an online hackathon, too. So, you just get off your editor, get off your development console, and just go into that Discord channel and just chill for a bit and come back rejuvenated, relaxed, and given your 100% later. So always keep in mind to participate in one or two mini events when you're participating in a hackathon. Let's move forward. Let your demo tell a story and don't leave it for the end. Now, as I mentioned earlier, your pitch is almost as important, if not more important, than your actual product. So, your final presentation makes a huge difference in the perception of your project when it comes to the judging part of it. So it might seem insignificant in the beginning, but it really makes a lot of difference. So don't leave your demo or presentation for the very end. Make sure, so as I said earlier, we'll have a person who is bringing the perspective of impact and business opportunities for a product. Now, whenever we create a product that has a social impact, we have a user story, as I said, a user journey of sorts through your product. That, say, if you're making a virtual classroom, there is the present pandemic situation, and students are learning from home, and teachers find it very difficult to share assignments through just email. So, if you're creating and get assignments through email and all of that, the management is becoming very difficult. So, make sure that your demo tells this story, your presentation tells this story, that this is a significant problem. If you have numbers to support your problem, use those statistics, use graphs, be as visual as you can. Define a problem clearly, tell the story of the problem, and then bring in a person with that problem as your user, and show how, when the user comes in for using your product or solution, that they are able to solve this problem partly, if not completely, by following so and so steps. And this is the entire journey of the user through our product. This really helps your judges and fellow hackers, when they look at your demo or presentation, understand what you're trying to do with the product. Not only does this help you present and pitch your product better, your project better to your judges, but it also gives you a proper way of explaining this project on your resume, or later when you're sitting in an interview and somebody points out that you have this virtual classroom. How did you come up with the idea? How does it work? It helps you explain that later in life too. The presentation is a very important part, and never leave it for the end. Have one person working on the presentation post half time, preferably. And if you're on something like dev post, then you'll also need some dev post project presentation wala thing, where you have inspiration and all of that given. Use that time wisely and make sure you put forward your best foot when it comes to your demo and presentation. So whatever you've made is conveyed properly, and whatever you intend to do, the impact that you intend to leave, is conveyed properly. Demo is very important. Never leave it for the end. So, generally, our steps for working in a hackathon are: form a good team. Well, I'm just talking about project building steps. Form a good team, plan your project, uh, develop an MVP. If you have the time, improve on the MVP, on its performance, on its look and such. Make a kick-ass demo. Let's move forward. Keep a growth mindset. Now, a prize is, as I said, a prize will be one of the things that you take back from a hackathon, but not the ultimate thing, right? A prize is one of the important takeaways from a hackathon. Your network being a second, not secondary, a second major takeaway, and your learnings being, I guess, the showstopper of all. As I said, you will be experimenting with new tech, learning to implement your existing skills of tech. You learn a lot, you grow a lot when it comes to hackathons. So keep a growth mindset. Go in with the mindset that you are here to learn something, to grow something, and gain a new experience. It really helps. So whether you win or lose, one constant that is going to be there through all hackathons that you participate in is going to be the learning that you have. Each hackathon is going to teach you something different and something very valuable. Go in with that mindset and you'll never return empty handed. You might as well take away a prize or two, but that's not the only thing that you take away from a hackathon. Last but not the least, enjoy the hackathon experience. As I said earlier, the hackathon experience isn't just about the development. You've got to have fun while you're developing, stay healthy while you're developing, network, meet new people. And if you're at an offline hackathon, which don't happen a lot these days, there's also sometimes there's some music playing, some DJ going on. Have fun. Take a late night stroll with your teammates if it's safe. Excuse me. So, like, have fun, enjoy the experience because hackathons are honestly going to be something that you look back on and rejoice because in those 24 or 36 or 72 hours you make a lifetime's worth of memories and then some more. So fully immerse yourself in the hackathon experience and enjoy it the best you can. Any questions that I might have to answer here? That was it from my end, and hope I was able to add value for all of you, and hope you all enjoy the hackathon that's coming up. With that, I think I'm just gonna the session resource for this that will be shared later, I guess, as well with you guys is an article on hackathon to dos, which basically covers all of this in more detail. You can go back to this whenever you're participating or just want a refresher on the session. So, yep, that's it from my end. Any questions? I'm gonna stop sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, in case of any questions, please put it on the chat. We'll be answering them right now. It can be anything regarding the upcoming hackathon by Incubate IND.
Anything about hackathons or communities in general? Any doubts you have?
Yeah,
Or
Amar
any
Sharma
feedback you
has
have for me?
asked a question. How was your first hackathon experience?
So, my first hackathon experience was a large learning experience which had no product outcome. And, well, okay, let me tell you guys a story here instead of just giving a brief. So, it was a hackathon at MANIT Bhopal, and I was in my second year then. I am a third year student at SGSITS Indore. So here we have a few hackathons happening, and it was a problem statement hackathon, not a thematic hackathon. So it was the first hackathon of for my entire team. We were from all from my college. We went in, traveled from here to Bhopal, and we skipped the first 6 hours where they ask you to come in early and network and get to know people. We were like, नहीं hackathon में जाएंगे, project बनाएंगे, जीतेंगे, वापस आ जाएंगे. That's not how you do it. If they're asking you to come in 6 hours early, attend those sessions, trust me, they're beneficial. Go in, meet new people, network, use those 6 hours. You're not saving any energy by going late. You're not. Save energy by sleeping 6 hours subah mein and reach there on time. Meet new people. It's so that was mistake number one of that hackathon. Then we reached in time for the hackathon to start, and we got 5 problem statements, out of which 4 seemed completely out of our league. Something to do with with augmented reality, some to do with MLAI. We picked one problem statement that we thought we could work on, and we started developing a solution. We didn't plan the product, mistake number two. We didn't consult with mentors, mistake number three. We started developing, and that's not the end of our mistakes. Now we've started developing and we're trying to deprive ourselves of or any and all sleep. The food was the best, so we weren't eating also. I wasn't eating much there. Two mistakes there. Do not deprive yourself of sleep, and do not eat. Just find something to eat or order something in, but eat. Have your meals on time. If you're healthy, you'll be able to perform well. We started developing. I started working on the front end. My friend started working on the back end, and our team was two front end developers, one person that out of which one can do back end, third person who was a competitive coder friend sit and do some googling, which helped. But so I started working on the front end, and my friend started working on the back end. And until the very last moment, before my friend went to sleep for 8 hours, we didn't think that we needed to test the integration. Mistake number, God knows which. But at the initial stage, we should have tested making small little test front ends and back ends if they could be integrated. We didn't do that. At the end, we're like, integrate nahi ho raha hai, product gaya. We were sleep deprived, slept for 8 hours in the end, and came back with a participation certificate. So that was what my first hackathon experience was like. I hope it's not too discouraging. I hope with the things that I've shared today, I hope you all have a better experience. I've had a much better experience. My second hackathon was the Microsoft Visual Studio Code hackathon, and I'd say that went really well for me. So I hope that answers your question
Everything's a
satisfactorily.
learning experience.
Yeah, and there's another question in the
Definitely.
questions bar over there, and it's by Ishan.
Oh yeah, could you like do you see the questions tab on the right side below the chat?
Yes. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe if you could pick maybe one or two more questions from there.
All right. How well you were prepared for the first hackathon? Not at all, as I've said. How can you join teams if you're looking for a team? So, all online hackathons have Discord channels and Discord channels or Discord servers. And in that, you have channels which says find a team or meet your team. That's the best place to find teams in online hackathons. What you do is you go there, you introduce yourself and your skill set, and you look at other people that have introduced themselves and their skill set. In this way, you can connect with people of diverse skill sets and form a well-rounded team. Our skill set. Okay. The next question I see is, as most of us are first year students, our skill set is quite limited. How influential is our idea in case our prototype is basic? It depends. So if your skill set is limited, say you don't have that much experience with backend and have some experience with HTML, CSS, and JS. Now, if your idea is well presented, it really helps, right? So if your idea, as I said, if you're telling your story really well and your prototype's basic, but it shows what you're trying to do, what the kind of product that you're trying to make, then it does really well at hackathons. People like that honesty that you've created the bare bones of your product because of maybe some shortcomings in your skill set or shortcomings of time, but you do have a basic prototype. And if your skill sets are limited, there are certain tools like Firebase, which is a backend as a service, which significantly decreases your backend work. So you can use tools like that, which are made for people with limited skill sets to have a working model. But if your idea is well defined, the problem is well defined, and your solution is well defined, then I believe you shouldn't have a lot of a problem with creating impact. So just make sure you present it well if your prototype's a little basic. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Next, we have what difficulties are to be expected in a hackathon. Um, you might face some technical difficulties. Talk to mentors about it. You might have brainstorming roadblocks where you just have a basic concept or a vague idea. Talk to a mentor. They might help you dig into the idea deeper as well. Mentors help with ideation as well. And otherwise, if you just follow the steps that I shared today, you shouldn't face a lot of difficulties. How many hackathons have I been to or participated in? I have been a mentor and judge for one hackathon. I have won one hackathon. I have participated in 4 hackathons to date. So that is my experience for you guys. I've seen a lot of hackathons, and I've been a speaker at Hack Jaipur. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, so I'll just take over here and conclude this session. So, like a big thank you to Miss Simran Makhija. Like this was a very amazing session, and I feel, the points which you mentioned, it really hit the nail on the mark with differentiating hackathons from the normal day-to-day competitions that you see. What I took from this is like hackathon is more of a feeling. It's a completely different thing, and you need to be prepared for it in a completely different way. And there's always something to take away from it, even if you do not win. So yeah,
Definitely.
I really think that this session was of great importance to everyone who attended here. And thank you on behalf of everyone.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so everyone, I'll be ending this session. The recording would be available on our YouTube channel as usual. In case you have your friends who missed this and who would have loved to attend it, you can share the link with them. Okay, see you on the next AlphaByte session. Bye bye.